You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, today we have another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your boy, Brian Fullerton here. And guys, I really appreciate you tuning in. I know a lot of you guys have been dropping those 5-star reviews. We really appreciate that. It really helps the podcast grow and surface and get recognized out there. And so thanks for the support. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about good debt versus bad debt. I know there is going to be a lot of fun folks that probably will email me or DM me after this one and say straight fire. I know the other some other people in the camp might say, I disagree, and that's totally fine. I want to have a conversation with you guys, just a discussion. I'm not here to tell you guys what to do with your life. I just want to talk to you guys about an honest conversation about my life. And again, the topic is going to be good debt versus bad debt. And basically, the reason I want to do this video is that, here's the deal. There is a lot of folks that listen to Robert Kiyosaki. There's a lot of folks that listen to Grant Cardone. There's people that read the Millionaire Next Door books. There's people that listen to Dave Ramsey. And there's a plethora of knowledge about finances. Now, I'm not here to pontificate. I'm not here to, be the guru. I just want to sort of break some things down, just some observations I have out there, because I field a lot of questions. And a lot of questions are about growing a business. And a lot of questions are about, finances and debt and leverage. And I've learned some things. I've learned some things that have worked for me. I think they can work for you. And so without further ado, let's hit the announcements. Let's break it down and let's dive into it.
You're a entrepreneur. You run your mower and your business. Take care of crabgrass and your customers. You improve curb appeal and efficiency. You do it all. And now there's Cujo, a shoe that does it all too. Trash the grass-stained athletic shoes that can't stand up to slopes or dew. Put those stiff boots in storage and forget about the fatigue and discomfort they caused. You don't have to choose between lightweight comfort or water-resistant traction, because the Cujo yard shoe is the best of both worlds. Every feature has been selected to optimize the performance and satisfaction of lawn care professionals. While you focus on laying killer stripes, we'll be there every step of the way. Check us out at Cujo.com, Kujo.com.
All right, guys. So today, like I said, I just want to have an open conversation. I don't have a huge script here. I just want to kind of shoot this one off the cuff for you guys. But, after doing YouTube for about 4 years now, going into our 5th year, we answer, like I said, a lot of questions. I get a lot of feedback, a lot of data. And, one question I always get asked a lot is about debt, like good debt versus bad debt, financing equipment, financing trucks, or paying cash as you go, being debt free, I'm a big advocate of, being really conservative with how you approach your business, especially when you're new. I don't think you need this $60,000 truck and all these $20,000, $15,000 mowers, and before you know it, you kind of wind up in my spot 10 years later, might I add, with this $100,000 rig going down the road. It's totally normal to see that, but that's not how everybody starts, and so there's a story in between there, but. Here's the deal. I want to talk about different philosophies, different thought processes, and I want to maybe also give you guys some permission that, maybe using debt is not necessarily a bad thing. So here's the deal. I've noticed that, again, just some notes that I did jot down on my phone as I look down, is that I've noticed there's different philosophies out there, and I want to really help you guys understand where I'm coming from. So let's slow down. Let's build some framework here so we can really get into the meat of it here, because without a little bit of context, what I say, might not make the most sense. So here's the deal. When I was getting started in my life, I was 19, 20 years old. I didn't have a whole lot of cash. I didn't have any cash, to be honest with you guys. I didn't have any collateral because I didn't have any assets. And at most, I had was some credit. I had probably, let's say a 720, 740 credit score. It wasn't It wasn't great. It wasn't bad, but I think that would be classified as good credit. And the only reason I had good credit is because I got a credit card when I was like 18, 19 years old. And I also had a car payment. I had a little Hyundai. It was, 10 grand that my mom had signed on for me when I was 17 years old. I didn't even get a car till like early 17 years old because, we just didn't have a lot of money. So I had to literally scrape and save. In fact, I sold a go-kart that I had. My dad had bought me a go-kart, and I sold it for $1,000 to put the down payment on my $10,000 Hyundai, which, this is, 15 years ago. So I know what you're really thinking. Oh my God, it's blasphemy that a Hyundai cost $10,000 10 years ago. Because I think the brand newest ones today cost 10 grand. No, I'm just having fun. But here's the deal. When I got started in business, I didn't have any business getting into business, right? I have my whole story on another podcast. You can go into the X's and O's about my first, few years, and then my first decade being in the business, the green industry. But one thing I want to talk about is my first 10 years with debt, my first 10 years growing the business. What a lot of people see on YouTube is, I'll call it a finished product. Now, we're not a finished product, but a lot of folks think that it's a finished product. They see the F-250, they see all these mowers, they see this big ass trailer. Look, I get it. Optics are everything. Look at that rich guy going on the road. Look, easy for him to say, I get it. Okay, but here's the deal. I didn't start that way. I go through this in my story. If you listen to any of my podcasts, you guys know I grew up dirt poor. We weren't like 8 Mile destitute Eminem, okay? But we just did without. We didn't have anything nice. I never had a name brand, designer brand, piece of clothing, no nice shoes, every shoe I had holes in them. Every sport I played was from Played Against Sports. We got all of our equipment. I had used rollerblades, used sticks, used hockey, everything, right? And so anyway, I didn't have any money, is what I'm trying to say, going into my business at 19. Remember, I had just got fired, and then I wanted to start my own business from True Green, and they kind of essentially laid me off. And so it's not like I had 10, 20 grand to bring into the business. So here's the deal. When I got started in business, my first mower was an Exmark 48-inch Viking walk-behind. That mower was $5,000. And I always joke, you're not really in business, in my opinion, until you're on the line financially for the business. And in fact, that's the definition of an entrepreneur, somebody who takes full responsibility and risk for an enterprise. Go look it up. That's what an actual definition of entrepreneur is. It's not, sitting on the beach, having passive income and being a millionaire, jet setter. That sounds good. That's more maybe of a result of 25 years of hustle, but that's not what an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is somebody who takes full risk and full responsibility for an enterprise or a business, and they stick their neck out there. And so here's the deal. I wasn't in business until I really signed on that $5,000 lawnmower, because what other commitment did I really have? To my business. I might have got some postcards made up. I think back then I used just flyers. I might have had, maybe some shirts or some hats or something like that, made up. I might have even had, in today's world, a cool website or a Facebook page like, Tom's Lawn Maintenance or, Pete's Services. Okay, that sounds cool and good, but you're not really vested. You know what I mean? You're not really vested into running your own business. So for me, and I want to spend some time on this, because when I bought a $5,000 lawnmower, you guys got to understand when you're 19 and you're broke and you have, $1,500-$1,800 a month coming in from your job, signing on something else that's, while you already have a car payment, and I probably had $5,000 left of that car payment halfway through, it might as well have been me spending $50,000 today. That's the only, that's how big it has to be for it to make a dent. And so it didn't even make a dent. But anyway, so finding a lawnmower for $5,300 out the door after tax was a lot of money. So I got the sweats, dude. I was pale. I went, oh my God. I might have had, 10 or 15 customers. But I didn't know if I could, totally afford this thing. I knew I could afford the payment. It was only like $175, but it was a lot of money. The point is, it was a lot of money, but I didn't have money. So what was I going to do in my business? I was in this bottleneck. Well, I knew my push mowers weren't keeping up, right? So I had to invest. I had to grow the company. And I'm really going to get into it because I got some really firm beliefs about how I've grown my company. And so the alternative was use my push mowers for, at least another year, maybe 2 years, and just save money to put $5,000 in the bank. Well, not a bad prospect, not a bad idea. But the reality was, if I bought this mower, it would shave 10, 12, 18, 24 months off of the growth of my company. And so I did. So I bought this mower. We already had 10 or 20 clients wherever we were in this timeline, and my push mowers were fine. But I went from, push mowing the lawn for 30 to 45 minutes to down to 20, 25 minutes, or maybe 20 minutes to do a lawn. Now, back then I was doing a lot of trailer park lawns. Eventually I, spread my wings. I got into subdivisions because, I needed those nicer lawns that had, way better fertilizer, turf, grass, beautiful lawns, people that irrigated and all that mess. Trailer park lawns, not exactly the highest priority on those folks. folks' list. And not to throw them under the bus, it's just a different demographic and dynamic. You guys know what I'm saying. So here's the deal. I'm finding myself now at 19, 20 years old with a big commercial walk behind mower, and basically what happened is I doubled my productivity in my business. So if I was making, I don't know, let's just say $200 a day or $100 a day. Now it's double. I was making $200 to $400 a day. If I was cutting, 8 lawns a day, now I was cutting 15 or 16 lawns a day. So my revenue doubled. My productivity doubled like overnight by having this mower. And so what did I really do as well? I shaved 24 months off of me trying to save $5,000 net to buy this mower that I would have had to come up with all these push mow lawns, right? And so here's the deal. Let's keep going on the story. A couple months later, I bought a sulky. It helped me increase production even more. But as we continue to go on, eventually, 4, 5, 6 years in, I knew that I had to upgrade my mowers again. And I was looking at a 0-turn mower, right? I was looking at an X-Mark. I think it was Laser Z S. Back then, it was probably $9,000, $10,000. And again, I was running my business so redline. Now, again, this is why I do all these videos, to help you guys get your pricing right, how to really know what you're supposed to be charging, how to really run your numbers, because I didn't know all these things. Like basically what came in, we kind of spent it. We had some left, never really totally a lot to reinvest in the business. So we were just running redline for a decade. Now, I was supporting my decent little lifestyle of being, I don't know, a 24-year-old kid living at home and doing stupid stuff just like you guys. But at the end of the day, like there wasn't a lot of extra, right? I wasn't banking 10, 20, 30, 50 grand a year. We were just running redline. And that's why I do these videos, because I see a lot of guys in that position. And I'm like, dude, I've been there. Let me help you with your numbers. Let me help you with the pricing. Let's get this business figured out and actually treat it like a real company. And so anyway, you guys, this is really important. So stick with me here. I know this is lengthy, but so then I'm buying a $10,000 Laser Z S. And again, I didn't have probably $1,000 or something like that to put down on it. I can't remember. It was 7, 8, 9 years ago. But I put a couple bucks down, because my rule is try to put 20% down of anything you buy new. That way, if you happen to sell it, you can get out from underneath it. Right, so that's a huge life tip. In case anything ever happens to the economy or you or whatever, you can usually sell that asset for what you owe on it, and at least get out from underneath it. It's a really, really quick little tip there. So anyway, as we're going through, I buy this $10,000 mower. Well, my walk behind had already tapped out, right? A walk behind is twice as fast, maybe triple as fast as a push mower. But a walk behind, you're probably half the productivity of a 0-turn, right? So my business is growing. We have 40, 50 accounts, whatever we're at. And I just realized, look, my sulkies are just burning up. I'm going through the bearings. The wheels are, concaved in. It looks like a trapezoid. And some of you guys might be listening to the podcast right now, and on one just like that had a, rickety right wheel, and it was just, about to fall off the train, right? And so I realized I needed another mower. And, again, we didn't have this huge, cash reserve, but I had credit and I had cash flow. And these are some things I'm really going to talk about later, is credit and cash flow. So let's keep going. I buy this $10,000 mower. My business surges. My business is able to take on more clients. Again, we were mowing 14, 15, 18 lawns a day with a walk behind. Now I'm cutting 18, 20, 22, 24, 25 lawns a day with a Laser Z S. And pick your 0-turn. It's not a plug for X-Mark. It is what it is. And so my business starts to grow. My cash flow goes from, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 grand a month to 7, 8, 9, 10 grand a month, right? My cash flow is going up. I'm able to service the debt. Generally speaking, you get 0% on these units with 36 or 42, and my business is growing. So along the way, I'm exercising this debt muscle, I'll call it, right? I had credit cards. I pay off. I buy this smaller mower. I pay off, right? My Viking walk behind, I financed it for 42 months. I actually paid it off in 5 months. I remember doing like a $1,750 payment, a $1,750 payment, and then like 2 months later, I made my monthly payment, and then a month or two later, I paid off like $2,200 or $2,300, whatever the balance was. I just remember boom, boom, boom. My 0-turn, the new one, the 10 grand mower, the Laser Z, it was, like I said, 9.4, 10.4, and it took me probably every bit of the 42 months to pay it off at $200 a month, whatever it is. But my business grew, my life grew, And here's the deal. How much time would it have taken me to potentially save 10 grand to pay cash for something where I could just finance it, take care of that bottleneck, hit the turbo boost button in Mario Kart, if you will, fly past everything where I would have been stuck in the mud for 24 to 36 months trying to save my pennies to buy this mower. So I fronted this mower to my business, leveraged it, was intelligent enough how to leverage it, and we grew our business again. We probably doubled our business again, or at least grew it by 30 or 40%, right? So as we go through this timeline, this is really important stuff. I want you guys to understand. So, okay, as my business grows, I buy an F-150. It's again 10 grand. So I'm like, oh my god, 10 grand on for a truck. It's $225 a month or whatever it is. Who knows what the interest rate was? 3, 4, 5, 7%. And we're growing the company. Well, I needed a truck to grow the business. And what can I do now? Well, now I can pull my trailers around. I can add snow blowing to my business because now I can zip around town with my snow blowers and grow my revenue in the winter. So we've always had 20, 30, 40 residential accounts. My prices were like $100 for the season, when I was like 19. I didn't know what I didn't know for annual service, which is ridiculous, right? A lot of you guys are like shaking your head, but here's the deal. I didn't know what I didn't know. And that's why I'm so confident today about helping give advice because I know what I did wrong for a decade. It's so crystal clear. And so as we go on, I've had 20, 30, 40 residentials. I buy this truck. I'm snow blowing. So we've always had like some decent little meek winter income to kind of bridge that gap. Okay, well, let's keep going. I buy this trailer. A trailer, was $2,600 for my utility or whatever. Eventually we use that. We go through it for 4 or 5 years. We sell it. we reinvest into an enclosed trailer. Same thing, enclosed trailer, $10,000, $200 a month, 42 months, 36 months, whatever it is, don't even know, $200 a month payment. So here's the deal. I'm exercising this muscle, right? My business has great cash flow. We also are servicing our debt. My cash flow is 10, 12, 15 grand a month. My debt payments with the zero turn, the new aerator, the trailer, it's 250 here, 250 here. And, we never got buried in debt. That's why I think a lot of people think, well, if you have 4 payments on things that, you're running your business red line. Not at all. We had 15 coming in and we have $1,000 a month going out for, let's just say the trailer, the mowers, the aerator, and then I added my new truck, right? And so here's the deal. In 2017, 2018, my wife and I, we had a lot of debt. We had $50,000, $60,000 worth of debt because we took on a new truck for 40 grand. Well, the truck was $58,000. I put down 16 cash with 4 on my trade-in, so we put down 20. We were coming out of the end of the light at the end of the tunnel with paying off the zero turn and the aerator, which was $21,000 because I got fleet on it for a new Laser ZX, right? Because we're continuing to grow the business. My stand-on aerator, which by the way, adding aerations to my business. Like, we do a couple hundred aerations per year. That was some really, really good. We made enough in aerations that just in the first 6 weeks in spring and 3 weeks in the fall would more than not only cover the payments for the aerator for the year, but double that. Right. So, we got 0% on it. There was really no interest. We had our tax deductions. Things were good. So in 2017-18, we got 15 coming in or whatever it is, $1,000 going out, maybe $1,500 with the truck now because we got a $580 a month payment. Well, what did the truck do? Well, the truck allowed me to, again, grow my business, grow my cash flow. And, I paid cash for a Boss plow. It was like $7,500 because they didn't offer any good financing rates. They offered like 7.99. And I'm like, what happened to the 0% stuff? They're like, no, that's not how snow works. The snow business is cutthroat. The snow business is real deal. They're like, we part-timers don't do snow. Part-timers do lawn care. Anybody in America can, finance a $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 mower and make $180 a month payment, cutting grass. He goes, snow removal, you can go belly up your first year in business and have to liquidate is what the guy said. And I go, yeah, that's fair. So I didn't get a favorable interest rate, so I paid cash for the plow. And then the truck, we have like a 2.74% interest rate, 2.75, which is insane if you think about work trucks getting that kind of a rate because it's classified as a WT. even though it's a lariat trim. So a lot of transparency here. Hopefully you guys appreciate this. So here's the deal. As we're going through, this is the big thing I want you guys to understand. I had to set the scene so you understand that my business grows, we get a little bit of debt. My business continues to grow, we pay off debt. My business grows, we need to take on more debt. My business grows, we service that debt, we pay off that debt. My business grows, we continue to move on. We continue to Pac-Man this whole debt thing. Well, 2017, 2018, Liz and I, our monthly expenses for our life are so peanuts, it wasn't even funny. I had the dumpiest apartment in Wixom, Michigan. Okay, it was moldy as hell. It was disgusting. For example, when we moved out, they later told us that the carpet hadn't been replaced in 12 because they came in, they gutted the place, and I go, holy crap, what's going on? Well, the carpet hadn't been replaced in 12 years. All the appliances, they get turned over at those kind of little halfway houses every 5 years, and so the refrigerator was getting ripped out, the stackable washer dryer, the dishwasher, folks, literally everything was getting ripped out. I think they even replaced the something in the bathroom. So here's the deal. But I say that just to say is that our monthly payment for that place was like $7.25. It went up to like $8. Then it was like $9 something, and that's when I just was realizing like I ain't paying $1,000 a month for this little dump. Like I might as well go pay $2 somewhere else and get what I want versus $1,000 and just literally have this. It might as well have been just this hoarder house. It was just disgusting, dude. And but here's the deal. When I have my when I had my payments of my business, and let's say it's $1,500 a month in debt, my personal finances was $1,500 a month. We had 15, 18, 20 coming in and only 3 or so, whatever it is, going out. And, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, we're starting that whole mill, 16, 17, 18. And folks are like, why are you living in this dumpy apartment? Why are you I'm like, well, one, I'm servicing off 50, 70, $80,000 worth of debt. But number two, we're just banking money. That's what people don't understand behind the scenes. And I got flack for it. I got a ton of flack for it. Pardon my French. People are like, well, what are you doing? You're living like you say you're making all this money with your business. You say you're making all this money with YouTube. Well, I don't say I'm making any money with YouTube, but here's the deal. I didn't care what anybody thought. I don't care. I don't answer to the internet. I don't answer to my peers. I don't answer to my neighbor. I answer to myself, and I'm accountable to me, my God, and my wife. And so here's the deal. My business is growing. My life is growing. And what am I? I'm patient. I'm patient with my life and where things are growing. And I share these stories to hope maybe give some of you guys, some encouragement and light at the end of the tunnel if you're going through this crap, because it sucks optics-wise as you go through it. Like I said, the first 10, 12 years of my business, I call it the suck phase. And nobody was really around to see that because it was always just servicing debt, buying equipment, burning up the engines, and servicing debt. And we just never got ahead. Now, if I had better pricing and better numbers and a better control on things, for sure I would have prospered and had way more money left over. But this is my story. This is what I'm hoping with my YouTube channel. It helps you guys not go through this kind of a struggle. But you know what? Here I am, 12, 13 years later on the other side. And just some massive fortitude that has been built into me and some financial IQ. So I'm actually not, I appreciate my story now. 10 years ago, no, I would have just said, no, I'll just hit the Staples easy button and take me to the other side, right? So here's the deal. Let's fast forward. We're going into 17, 18. Liz and I start paying off a lot of debt. Gobs of debt. We're paying off 10 grand a month, 10 grand a month, 10 grand a month, 10 grand a month. Why? Because I got my business's cash flow really, really, really good. We started making a couple bucks with YouTube, and I'm transparent. Like we make a couple bucks with YouTube. We're not rich. Trust me, we're not rock stars. But we started making a couple $1,000 with YouTube. You're like, holy cow, you can make money with YouTube? Yeah, apparently. Like I never thought that you would or could. But so I take all the money from YouTube, I bank it. We haven't touched a dime of it. It just sits in another checking account. My lawn care business has always supported everything from my business. Everything I've got in my business, I've bought from my business. We've had some great sponsorships the last, 6 months with Exmark. They sent us a couple mowers. Praise Jesus, thank you. Like, what would you guys do? Of course, I'm going to take that on and run with you guys. I love Exmark. I bleed red. I've been using Exmark for 10 years, right? And been working with my dealer Weingarts for 10 years. That was a dream partnership. And so I really appreciate the people that are like, dude, good for you, man. Like, you deserve it more than anybody. I'm like, thanks, dude. Like, I appreciate that. I don't know if that's true, but I appreciate that. So as we go on, I pay off all these debts, right? In fact, it was November last year that Liz and I took a cruise. We get back, we're literally sitting at some Holiday Inn, hotel where we're staying for one extra day because we don't want to go back to Michigan because it's already cold. And that day, I'm sitting poolside and I pay off $26,000 worth of debt. I pay off $26,000 worth of debt. I'm poolside. Hey, you want to pay off this credit card? $8,000. You want to pay off this mower? $6,500. You want to pay off this trailer? $6,500. Boom, 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 boom. And then Liz and I, we cried. I'm just gonna be honest with you. We cried. We hugged. We cried. We were essentially debt free. We still had some on the truck, but we were personally, financially debt free. Everything was debt free besides the truck. And I'm gonna get into why we still owe on that because it's just a business move at this point. So anyway, we're totally debt free. Life is good. We're starting banking, dude. We're starting to bank money. We hit winter. We have a great winter. We go back into the season of 2019. So here's what happens in my life. My business is now cash flow positive. And I'm telling you, YouTube is a two-way street. I have learned so much. That's why I'm so grateful for this community, this industry. Liz and I are running, a six-figure business. We're making some decent bank. I'm just socking money away, right? And again, optics, why don't you move out? Why don't you do this? My brother and sister are in-law are doing this, friends and peers are doing that, everybody on YouTube, why don't you, Mr. Rich, it's like this credibility check. And again, I'm like, it's not about you, it's about me. I'm gonna have to run my life and stay accountable to me. And it sucked sometimes because, there's younger people buying houses and there's younger people buying nicer cars. And I'm like, you're financed, you're leveraged, you got debt, I could pay cash. Like, I'm not getting caught up in this trap. I'm just gonna keep doing me. Okay. And so I really want to talk about this debt story because it's really important you understand this context of where I'm coming from and you understand the crazy, just life. Again, when you don't have any cash or anything to get you a leg up or start, this is how you start. You start by being so behind the eight ball. That's why I said it takes me 10 years to get back to zero. Especially with a business, now if I just worked a job 50 hours a week and made $50,000 a year, sure, we'd be cash flow positive because I didn't have any student loans or anything like that. But we're not talking that. I don't want a job and anything like that. I would not work in those environments. That's been proven because I had to and it didn't work out. So, okay, now we get to the fun stuff. Now we get to the part where it's 2020. My lawn care business is cash flow positive. My YouTube channel starts making money. And now life is getting good. There's that breakthrough moment. There's that breakthrough time, right? But here's the deal. I wonder if it would have took me 20 years to finally get that much further ahead if I didn't use debt to leverage my business, to grow my business exponentially, and to shave literally years off of it to grow it to where it is today. Like, I really do think that if I wanted to do snow removal and, get a big dog truck, that's $25,000, $50,000. I don't think you need a $58,000 truck like I did. I definitely, bought a nicer vehicle for me because I'm an owner operator and I live in it. But I wanted a nicer truck. Okay, well, let's say you can do it for $30,000. A nice F-250, a nice F-350. Do you know how long it would save me? It would take me to save $25,000 or $30,000 to pay cash. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Like, even in today's situation with my business running cash flow positive, it's going to take 4, 5, 6 months. It's going to take a year, at least a year. I mean, after you pay taxes and this and that. So here's the deal. My question is always, I get really passionate about this topic because I along this way, this decade, and this is what I want to transition to. Along this decade, I'm listening to Dave Ramsey, I'm listening to Robert Kiyosaki, and I'm listening to Grant Cardone. The last 4 or 5 years, Grant Cardone's really came on the scene. But I've always been a Robert Kiyosaki guy. I have never been a Dave Ramsey guy, and I know that's going to cut right down the middle for half of you right now. But let me explain why. I think Dave Ramsey is a great start. I think he's a really bad finish. And who am I, right? I'm pontificating. Here we go, right? I know people are going to challenge this, but no big deal. Let's watch me over the next 10 to 20 years, and I'll show you exactly why I like the Kiyosaki and the Grant Cardones, and why I think using good debt is totally fine. Now, I do agree about being debt-free personally. But business debt, if you want to be leveraged, that's fine as long as you're intelligent. And so the biggest thing I want to start with, number one, is you got to have financial IQ. You got to learn finances. You have to learn numbers. You have to learn the rule of 72. You have to learn a lot of things about finances, because if you don't get the financial puzzle piece solved, it's not the corner piece to the puzzle piece. It is the underlying glass table that you build your life on besides your relationship in Jesus Christ. Okay. So if you want to start with those two, you got to get your spiritual life right. And number two, you have to figure out the financial pillar that supports the puzzle, the jigsaw puzzle. Well, what's the jigsaw puzzle? The jigsaw puzzle is everything else that we all lose so much focus on and time on. Equipment, warehouses, machines, trimmers, and blowers, and all this other stuff. The only thing that really matters is your people. Okay. The only thing that really matters is your relationships when you're building a company, your subcontractors, your employees, your peers, your partners. Okay. Your wife. Focus on those people. The rest of it all else, it's going to change over so many times. It's not even funny. You won't even remember all those little things that a lot of the YouTube stuff that we talk about is about. It's so topical. So number one, you have to increase your financial IQ. So all along the way of this 10, 12 years, what am I doing? I'm exercising my debt muscle. I'm exercising my faith. I'm exercising being a good businessman. I'm understanding cash flow. I'm understanding how to get finances in order, how to get my life in order. I'm realizing that if I take on, a $5,000 mower, to me, back then was freaky, it was scary. But then $5,000 to me right now, that's no big deal. Like if I put $5,000 on a credit card or line of credit, I can pay it off in 30 days. Like I know the business skill set. I understand how to service that debt. I understand what I need to do to grow my company or to expand a service or to offer something or how to sell work, right? I could take 10 to 20 grand worth of cash and invest it into a new piece of equipment to generate another $500 to $1,000 a month of cash flow because I've grown my financial IQ. I've grown my debt muscle. So here's my qualm or my thing behind the scenes with Dave Ramsey. Like,
you're a entrepreneur. You run your mower and your business. Take care of crabgrass and your customers. You improve curb appeal and efficiency. You do it all. And now there's Cujo, a shoe that does it all too. Trash the grass-stained athletic shoes that can't stand up the slopes or dew. Put those stiff boots in storage and forget about the fatigue and discomfort they caused. You don't have to choose between lightweight comfort or water-resistant traction because the Cujo Yard Shoe is the best of both worlds. Every feature has been selected to optimize the performance and satisfaction of lawn care professionals. While you focus on laying killer stripes, we'll be there every step of the way. Check us out at Cujo.com, Kujo.com.
I've listened to all of Dave's stuff. I've been, we read his program. Our church promotes his program, and we give money to our church to enroll people who can't afford to go into his Financial Peace University program. Like, no big deal. That's great. It's a great starter. It's a great roadmap for your personal finances, but it's not totally applicable to business in the sense that, how do you grow a company? How do you grow a business? How do you start getting bigger? You have to start leveraging debt. Look at Grant Cardone, right? He's a really, a great example because he's out front. He's loud. Whether you like him or you don't like him, I don't really care. But here's the deal. People are like, well, Grant Cardone's leveraged, half a $1 billion in debt. And, all this other stuff. But he's got tenants that pay down the rent at his rental apartments, and the offset cash flow arguably offers him the number one lifestyle of just, private jet, flying around, all the material trappings. He looks happy. He's doing great. And he's got financial peace. But then the next person says, well, if you don't pay cash, and if you don't, that's making 40 grand a year, if you don't pay cash for things, and if you can't afford it, you don't, you don't deserve it. If you can't afford it 5 times over, you don't deserve it. All this other, talking points that people just keep repeating. You have to say no. You have to stop. You have to start thinking about, what are you listening to? What are you digesting? Do you really want to wait, 25 years to get debt free in a traditional sense, paying off the lowest thing first, then the next lowest thing second, then the next lowest thing third, then, and then driving sled cars and all this other mess? Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I know I don't. I know it's easier for me to run businesses, to create cash flow, to leverage debt, to grow my cash flow, to then buy liabilities after I've created assets to pay for them. Like, for example, let's say you want a Tesla. I want a Tesla. A Tesla done right is $90,000. It's arguably the best car out there right now. I'm a big Tesla nut. I don't own any stock in Tesla. People think I do. It'd be nice because it just peaked at the time of this recording at like 800. Who knows? Maybe 2 months now, it's at $1,500. I don't know. But here's the deal. It's so much easier for me to start a business, to leverage debt, to grow a business to $4, $5, $7, $10,000 in cash flow, to go buy a Tesla, put 20 grand down, and have a $1,200 a month payment. And I get to enjoy that car for the next 4, 5, 6 years while you're paying interest on it. Yeah. Let's not get lost in the details. But here's the deal. I now can front myself that Tesla because I'm leveraged, and who cares? The reality is, who cares? Now my family's in the safest, fastest, nicest car. And again, I'm not here to impress people. I'm here to buy it for myself. That's the goal. I want to buy it for me because it's a cool car. Okay, so I have debt on it. What's the problem with that? What's the problem with having debt on something if you have an asset that pays the monthly payment on it and way surpluses it? I just don't understand the logic out there where if you can't pay for it 5 times over, you can't afford it. So you're telling me I can't buy that Tesla unless I have $500,000. No, my attitude is grow a business. Let's say you start a tech review channel on YouTube. You start reviewing cameras, you start reviewing gear, you start reviewing whatever. You get some affiliate links. And by the way, this is what everybody does in 2020. Just because everybody does it, I'm not saying that's the reason to do it. I'm just saying it's a different world out there than listening to somebody like your grandpa who, gives out this ultra conservative advice. And I'm going to get into a little bit more about that. So here's the deal. Start a tech review channel. Start creating a passive income asset. Start a network marketing business. Start some side hustling, flipping homes, or really create rental. Create some rental properties. You don't have to buy $300,000 homes and rent them out. You can buy for $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 homes and rent them out for $800, $900 a month, and the mortgage is literally $300, $400. People do that all the time where I live. I'm not going to name cities because that'd be rude, but there's whole cities that are dedicated to that where I live. Okay, so you have you have a network marketing business, you have a YouTube channel, and your YouTube channel is kicking off $1,000 a month. And you want to go buy a Cadillac CTS-V, that's $700 a month. What's the problem with that? What is the problem with creating an asset that creates passive income, that buys you something, that helps you live an incredible lifestyle? Now, again, incredible is relative, okay? Maybe the same thing is you want to have 250 vending machines that offset $10 net per day per month. And I don't know what that is. Let's say it's 25 grand, and you want to go buy a Maybach. You want to go buy a Ghost. You want to go buy a Wraith. You want to go buy, whatever. Pick your car. You want to go buy a Lamborghini, and it's $7,000 a month. Well, active income, if you make $100 grand a year and you go buy a $7,000 a month car payment, $250,000 car, yeah, you're probably a financial moron, right? I'm just being honest with you. That you're so tapped out, you could lose your job tomorrow, and you're out of the game. If you have 250 vending machines, of course, one's going to get broken into per week. One's going to get broken into per month. But the other 249 things are still generating income. The only way that really is going to stop is if you get hit by a bus, right? And so there's your life insurance talk, okay? But what's the problem with having 250 vending machines offset $10 a day, 30 days a month, and going and buying that Lamborghini? Well, you didn't pay cash for the Lamborghini. Who cares? It's bringing in 25 grand. My monthly debt is 7. I'm netting, 15 after all this and blah, blah, blah. And again, don't get caught in the numbers. Just understand the thought process here of creating passive income, of creating businesses, creating assets that create passive income that you buy liabilities. Now, let's go back. And by the way, all this I learned from Robert Kiyosaki for a decade before Grant Cardone became quote unquote mainstream in 2007, 8, 9, 10. Okay. To me, like I know Grant's been doing this for 20 years, but now everybody's like, well, get rental properties and get real estate and Ben Mala, I love that stuff. Okay. I love it. Now here's the deal. In 2020, it's cool to create passive income. In 2020, it's cool to be an entrepreneur, a launchpreneur. That's what being a launchpreneur is to me. It's using your brain to leverage debt, to grow a company. I'm not a lawn care owner, like an LCO. I'm not a lawn care business owner. Like, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman, Jay-Z, okay? I am all about figuring out how to grow businesses and grow companies. And this might be some, 202 talk, for some of you guys who are like, I just want to lay stripes and all that stuff. I get it. No big deal, but there's different podcasts. It's unfiltered. If you don't like it, no big deal. There's plenty of other episodes and other podcasts. But a launchpreneur to me, as an entrepreneur, I want to own things. I want to own rental properties. I want to own real estate. I want to own strip malls. This is the next phase of my life. Now, it all sounds cool now, right? Because everybody's doing it. But again, I had to spend the first 10 to 15 years righting the ship. I had imagine this big steel, drum on an axle, this big steel, beautiful, like perfectly machined thing. And I'm putting my hands up on it, and it's spinning, like ferociously, right? And I put my hands on it, I got to stop it. And then my hands get burned up, and I got to stop. And then I put my back onto it, and my back gets burned up, I got to stop. And so it took me 10 years to stop this spinning wheel of just poverty in my family's name, this spinning wheel of brokenness, financial brokenness, spiritual brokenness, generational brokenness, relational brokenness. My brother and I, and in our teens, we were just, cats and dogs. We never got along. It was awful. Now we're best buds. Okay, I had to fix and write a lot of things. It took a lot. By the way, I'm running my lawn and landscape business. It's growing every single day at a freight train speed. I'm growing my YouTube channel. It's growing every single day as a freight train speed. I'm growing myself personally, self-help every single day. It's a runaway freight train. I'm being a better son to my mom, runaway freight train. I get married, runaway freight train, trying to be doing good at this. And so I'm doing everything behind the scenes, working 168 hours a week out of 168. I'm sleeping, thinking about how to be a better sleeper. You know what I mean? I'm so engulfed with trying to better myself that I'm trying to work my guts out to just change this as fast as I can, to stop this spinning drum on this axle. Boom, 2016, 17, I stopped that stupid drum that was just spinning the wrong direction. Well, here's the deal. As you guys know, I put my hands back on this steel drum, and what do I got to do? I got to get it to spin the other way. So this thing weighs, 2 tons. It's a solid steel bearing on this axle, right? I have to start putting my hands on it, right? I'm doing a little crab crawl on it. I'm trying to move it. I'm trying to pull it down like this is the price is right, but there's no handles, okay? And I'm trying to get to $1. So I start bringing my hands down, and this thing barely moves. It creaks, and then it stops. And I go, shoot. Okay, interesting. Little life lesson there. You can't just put pressure on something once and expect it to continuously grow, right? So people, they read a self-help book, they put a little pressure on that wheel stops. Why? Because they stop reading, or they read one book and they don't read the next book. So I put my hands on this wheel, I take my hands off, well, the steel drum stops spinning. Okay, note to self, let's keep going. I say this isn't a motivational quip. These aren't motivational memes. These aren't just hyperboles that I say to you guys. This is philosophy. This is morals. This is values. This is what I believe. I believe that, I say this all the time. You never own success. You can only rent it, and rent is due every single day. So what does that mean? So I put my hands on the steel drum, I start getting it to spin. I put my hands on the steel drum, I start getting it to spin. I put my hands on the steel drum. By the way, Liz comes along board. She goes, hey, what's up with this big steel drum? I go, hey, let's move this steel drum. She goes, awesome. We start spinning this disc. We start spinning the disc. Eventually I got some other friends that want to help me spin the disc. We're spinning the disc. That's called building a team. Who's your team? Your payroll, your CPA, Mike Bedell, my brother, my mom. All these different people behind the scenes are helping me create this machine. We're all starting to spin the disc. We're spinning the disc. And you guys can understand where I'm coming from. That's how your life continues to gain momentum. And by the way, what am I doing every single day? I take 2 or 3 hard slaps every single day at the disc to keep it spinning, to increase the velocity. What does that look like? We're talking finances for sure on this one. We're talking about growing my lawn and landscape company. I'm never content with it. I'm working on the top line. I'm working on the bottom line. I'm continuing to grow my finances to stay sharp, to keep credibility. I'm growing my YouTube channel. I've kind of turned it into a business. I'm moving the steel disc, right? I'm slapping that thing I'm trying to make gains, make movement, keep it going, spin the plate. Liz and I in 2020, 2021, 22, behind the scenes, we want to do some stuff with real estate. We're learning. As much as everybody thinks I'm this extremely busy person, and I am, but I'm busy on the right things. Yes, we're growing the YouTube channel, but I'll tell you, that takes 5% of my thought, my mental energy, because we've gained these skill sets. I'm growing my lawn and landscape company. I'm working 50, 60 hours a week, just like you guys, but really, it's 5% of my actual life in focus. I'm working on this podcast. I've recorded 18 episodes in the last 5 days with guests. Each one takes an hour and a half. Man, Brian, you're committed. You work hard. You guys have no idea what it's like to have a steel drum spinning at you for a decade going the wrong way. You have no idea what it's like to do without. You have no idea what it's like to have nothing extra, to have no name brand, nothing, to have no nice watches, to have no nice car. I'm not talking just material things. I'm just telling you, security, peace of mind. Your wife is working a sled job. She's driving sled cars. She's getting yelled at her boss, and she's coming home crying. That stuff happens to me. That stuff happened to me. And as a man, I just said, enough is enough. I'm sick of so much shit in my life that I'm going to start figuring things out. And so when people, heckle or poke or troll on the internet, you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, say something negative to a winner in public, they'll throat punch you. And I'm not trying to get in your guys' face. I'm just saying, you're not going to mess with me. You're not going to mess with what I've grown, what I got going on, because I'm so thankful. I'm so excited, and I'm moving to the mark, and we're going to keep moving this disc, right? And so as we keep growing, as we keep making gains, as we keep making strides, I want to talk to you guys again about debt. Debt to me has been the best thing in my entire life. Now, I know there's a lot of guys that are Christians and spiritual people listen to this, and spiritually, fed people. Me too. And, I owe no other thing to my man, to my brother other than to love him. I understand all the ramifications of debt, owe nobody nothing, right? I understand all these biblical truths, and I subscribe to that. But at the same, and I understand that I live in a world system. There's a heavenly system. I understand there's a spiritual system, and there is a world financial system. But at the time, and even now, I still understand that I live in the world system, right? I still understand that I live in the world system, and I need to be intelligent. God didn't give me, this spiritual pass to bypass the world system. Okay. God gave me intelligence, my opinion. God gave me my intelligence to learn how to leverage the world system, not to get caught up in it, not to mess with it, not to poke around with fire, right? To play with fire, but to understand how it works. Now, we avoid the world system as much as we can, but I'm still financially intelligent enough, because I've grown my financial IQ, to learn how to participate in the world's financial system. So I'm just telling you guys, some of you guys are like, well, Jesus is, my healer. That's fine too, but you can also take, medicine. You can also take Tylenol. You can also take, go to a surgery. Okay. Like, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. And again, I'm not trying to get in your grill. I'm just saying, don't get so stuck in the mud. That was me. That was I just had to listen to what's actually going on. People like, well, Grant Cardone this and Grant Cardone that. I go, let me get this straight. This guy spends $25,000 on fuel to take his kids to Disney World for 8 days. He goes to Dubai for 6 weeks. He goes on tour. He's living the dream. He's living the number one lifestyle in America, as a lot of these entrepreneurs do. And then somebody who's making $42,000 a year, who's driving a Honda, Accord or a Toyota Corolla, that's a sled car, living in a sled part of town. They're going to criticize him. I mean, do you guys know what I'm saying? Let's get real. Let's start listening with more than just you're hearing, but you ain't listening, is what one of my pastors at my church says. Okay. So let's go through this. Dave Ramsey. I have nothing against Dave Ramsey. I love Dave Ramsey. I think everybody should be personally debt free. I think everybody should have a safety net income. I think everybody should have, 3 to 6 months in the bank. I think you should be intelligent with credit cards and use them, get rewards, pay them off, build your credit. That's fine. But again, you also have to know the full Dave Ramsey story. And there's a guy named Graham Stephan who did a great video breaking down Dave Ramsey. It's not like Dave Ramsey exposed. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Dave Ramsey got bit with debt. Dave Ramsey got bit with debt in the 80s or 90s or whatever, flipping homes, high mortgage rates, quick short loans, all this different stuff, flipping homes. He was making money and they got bit. Well, let me ask you this. If you were a kid and you went to, SeaWorld, okay, and you're playing with dolphins, and, you're trying to pet the dolphins because your parents are trying to give you all the dreams that they never had. And you go to pet this little dolphin. You got Flipper out there, right? And he's doing, I'm not going to do a Flipper thing. I know you guys are waiting for it, but he's like, doing his little squeak, right? And you start petting Flipper, and all of a sudden, Flipper flips out. This is funny. Flipper flips out, and he bites your hand as a 7-year-old. You're bleeding. Flipper goes rogue. He's got little freaking lasers on his head. Flipper, it's an evil Flipper. Okay, it's his doppelganger. Okay. And you're 7 years old, you get bit by Flipper, and you're crying, you're whining. It's traumatic. It's a traumatic experience. And let's just say you fast forward, 11 years, you're going to school for you're either going to be two sides that's going to, turn into. You're going to be a veterinarian because you love animals, or number two, you think all animals are evil, and dolphins are evil. You'll never take a cruise because you don't want to be in an ocean because there's dolphins. And you're traumatic. You're traumatized. And I really want to speak to that because, you get burned on a credit card, you get burned on something, you get burned on a relationship, you get burned on a church, and I don't like churches. I don't like, I'm an atheist, and you're proud to be an atheist. Like, good luck with that. Okay. I'm not trying to get in your stuff. I'm just saying you're proud of not going to, you're exercising more faith about not believing of going into something than to me, who uses, less faith to believe probably in a God that created everything. Like, it's, we're going down a rabbit hole, but I'm just saying you have these traumatic experiences, right? You have these experiences where they form these values and these beliefs and these opinions. And by the way, you don't have to have something as dramatic as flipper biting your hand when you're 7. It can be your mom and dad saying something into your ear at 9 years old and programming you to think a certain way, to have a certain value system, a certain philosophy, a certain viewpoint, jaded viewpoint. Let me give you a really good for instance the other day. This was awful, man. I take Liz down to Harry Potter World. We got one of those emails. I don't know if you guys get these. It's like 70% off. Last minute trips to Vegas, 70% off. I get them, you get them. Who responds to those? Well, apparently we do, because we didn't have anything going on for the 10-day. There wasn't any snow. I said, Liz goes, well, let's just get out of here. It's already gloomy doomy. You start getting that Michigan, winter depression, right? And you're just like, we need to get out of here. So we go down to, we look at Vegas, and Vegas is cool. Like, I don't subscribe to, half of what Vegas stands for, but it is really cool in terms of food, shows, hotels, the Strip. It's a cool, fun area. Okay, if you've never been, go check out Vegas. Even Vanilla Brian has been to Vegas, and I like it. Well, we look at the weather; it's 50 degrees, and I tell Liz, "Yeah, I'm not going down to spend $1,000 last minute to go to a 50-degree place." So we go to Orlando. I said, "What about Harry Potter World? You always want to go. That was a bucket list thing for us. We want to start a family. It's going to be exceedingly more difficult to do those kind of things last minute, right? Just get away." So that's what everybody has been telling us. Like, hey, have some quick, last fun for hurrah. So we go down there. And just to fast forward, we're at Universal. Beautiful. It's beautiful. It's 83, sunny. We got these palm trees. You don't see that stuff here in Michigan. It's a really cool environment, right? So we're there for day 1. We're hanging out. We're having fun. Just a beautiful time. We're down there for 3.5 days. Day 2, we're at the park. Day 3, we're at the park. Day 4, we're heading home. So day 3, which would have been my second day at Universal, we've rode all the rides. We got the fast pass. We're staying on site at one of the hotels. Just having a good time, man. We're just literally building memories, which there's nothing that I love more in the world than to spend time with my girl. Okay, she's like my best friend. Like I married her as my girlfriend, but I've always kept her as my girlfriend because, that's what people do. They get married and they treat her like the ball and chain. Please don't ever use language like that with your girl. Remember the reason that you fell in love with her. Remember the reason why you started dating her. She's still my girlfriend, and she's my everything. I have her saved in my phone as love of my life because it's true. But okay, so as we're down there, we're hanging out, we're doing the whole deal, and the park starts closing at like 6 o'clock. This is the second day. And normally they close at like 9, but then they moved it to 7 because it's off-peak season. And they close at like 6 o'clock, and it's early. But you know what? Everybody's been riding on the rides. There's 15,000 people there. I guess like a regular day is like 60 to 70,000. And I guess in like the fall, it's like 120,000 people go there every day. Imagine the U of M, the big house, which is local to us, 45 minutes away, Ann Arbor, Michigan. 107,000 people filtering into Universal Studios, which is like maybe the same size of Cedar Point, probably half the size of Cedar Point. It would be elbows to elbows. And Liz like, we heard these numbers. I'm like, yeah, there's no way. We'll definitely be January visitors. So anyway, imagine the scene. So if you've ever been to Universal, you know what I'm talking about. But as we're leaving, we're walking out, and they're starting to like kind of usher people out with little orange batons. They're not beating us like we're peasants, obviously. But we start walking out, and there's this, we hit the restrooms, and there's this other couple, young family. They have this little, 7-year-old boy, 4-year-old little girl, and they're doing the family thing, and they're just really nice people. So we strike up a conversation because we're just seeing all the things shut down and reset up for a private event. And so basically the guy goes, yeah, do you know who's coming in? I go, no, you? He goes, no. He goes, I know that they were at the other park the other night and they shut it down. Some big company came in, I think from Canada. We were trying to look them up. And my gosh, it was like 5,000 people going in. It was crazy. But here's the deal. The guy didn't know that. The guy said, yeah, he goes, it was a private party of 100 people that shut down Universal. And I go, 100 people? I found out later that this is not true at all. But he goes, yeah, there's 100 people coming in. He goes, And he says this to his kids. He's like picking up his little boy. He's picking up his girl. And they're in earshot. You know, this little kid's, he's just living the dream, right? But his dad goes, yeah, he goes, kids, we got to get going. Daddy, I want to stick around. I want to hang out. He goes, we can't, son. They're shutting down for a private party. He goes, and there's no room for the peasants like us. There's no room for any of it like the peasants like us. There's no room here for peasants like us. And Liz and I say that all the time. Well, hey, we flew spirit. We're like hanging with the peasants. We're just having fun, right? Like we're not pretentious. You guys know that. We're just having fun with this. But let me ask you this. Who's ever heard the line, your subconscious can't take a joke? Right? You think it's a joke topically. You're conscious. You think it's funny. But your subconscious, which by the way governs 99% of our body, we all have learned this stuff. Your subconscious, what does it do? It logs that file and it goes peasant, loser, poor, financially busted. Well, what's a peasant? Well, I played World of Warcraft. I played Warcraft back in the day. Peasants, they didn't have the best. They weren't exactly the people you send to the front lines, right? They would get slayed and drop the gold, and you guys know how it goes. And it was awful because then you could never buy more warlocks and more witches to fight on the battlefield, right? Because I'm a nerd. Anyway. What is that 7-year-old kid now? So now the 7-year-old kid goes back to school. He hangs out. He goes, tells everybody about his awesome, amazing trip to Universal. And his teacher goes, hey, how was your trip? He goes, really, really fun. All the peasants got to ride all the rides. And he doesn't even know what he's saying. And you guys see this analogy. You see where this stuff gets baked into your head. And that kid, he's going to go through, 18, 19, 20 years old, and he's going to go, apply for a car, and he's going to go, well, I want the SEL, the nicer one with electronics and leather, right, or whatever it is. And he's going to go, no, let's just get the SE. Let's just get the Ford Fusion SE. After all, hey, we're peasants. And now it's like a joke. Now he says it to like his girl or his kids or whatever. He's like, no, we'll just get the standard model. We're peasants after all. And it's like funny. It's like a badge of honor thing. It's funny, but it's so rooted and ingrained into his brain, his subconscious, that his self-image is now doing things to reinforce that belief system. Right? When he goes to work, he's not ambitious because he's not going to try to apply for the manager position, the owner position, the CEO, well, not the owner, but the manager position, the executive position. He's not going to come late and leave early. He's not going to do things that are going to reflect something that's going to have cognitive dissonance with his belief system about being a peasant. Right. And so when people, I'm a Christian, so I believe in speaking, words and I'm not going to go down this whole name it, claim it route, but I'm just saying life and death is in the power of the tongue. You have to get your words right. You have to have two things, your ear gate and your eye gate. And if you put garbage in, garbage out. This is really rudimentary, fundamental stuff. Why are we talking about this on good debt versus bad debt? It's a fundamental philosophy, moral. There's so spiritual. There's so many things going on behind the scenes than just borrowing a stupid $5,000 for a lawnmower. Okay, we got to do surgery here on you guys before we can just talk about the topical stuff. And these belief systems are what's really holding you back. Now, Dave Ramsey wants to talk about, surface level stuff. That's fine. That's cool. And by the way, he's helped millions of people. I'm not opposed to that. But will you also imagine for a quick second that Dave Ramsey runs a business? Do you think Dave Ramsey got wealthy by being out of debt? No. Dave Ramsey got wealthy by being an entrepreneur. Eventually, I would guarantee you, I can't guarantee, but I would bet you that he probably leveraged some debt or lines of credit. Let's say he wants to sell 1 million books. Nothing wrong with that. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a capitalist. Trust me, I don't hate. God bless. Go sell 1 million books. Do you think he bought 1 million books or took a line of credit on for 1 million books and then sold them at his seminar? Well, in that analogy, debt is bad. So people get lost in the woods, right? They go from one ditch to the other. They're like, all debt is bad. Well, not really. Dave Ramsey bought 1 million books on a line of credit from his publisher, had 60 to 90 days probably to pay that off, sold 1 million books at a book release, sold 1 million of them on Amazon, sold 1 million of them at his seminars, at conferences, and guy makes 2 million bucks on it, pays off his $200,000 front of his line of credit or his loan, and that's 1.8 mil, and he goes around preaching that debt is bad. But and I'm not saying he did this, but I'm just saying you have to start thinking for yourself. You have to spend time getting some financial intelligence, some financial IQ. Okay. And so that's what I say those things just to say, you have to start slowing down and listening to things. Now, I'm not trying to pontificate saying that I'm your financial guru. I am not your guru. I am not your genius. I am not your everything. I can teach you a lot about lawn care landscaping. That's my lane. I'm just trying to give you breadcrumbs to say, listen, why don't you start hooking up your caboose to a Grant Cardone and listen to what he has to say. Maybe you want to do rentals, maybe you don't. Why don't you listen to Robert Kiyosaki? Not Robert Kiyosaki today. Not Robert Kiyosaki today. Listen to Robert Kiyosaki 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. That's what I implore you to do. Listen, go read the Millionaire Next Door book. I think it's an awful book, but go ahead and read it. Go ahead and read it and listen to it because it really teaches you how to be an A player and participate in a B game. It really teaches you how to live not within your means. I mean, it teaches you how to be way ultra conservative in life, and that's fine for 90% of people probably out there. But for you guys listening to this podcast, you want to succeed. You want to win. You guys want to make money. Like, I think everybody listening to this should get rich and wealthy and have great passive income and assets that, get your finances in order. Like, that's who I'm talking to. Even if you're a lawn care guy, you're like, dude, I'm just cutting grass right now. I know, but hopefully the idea isn't to be cutting grass when you're 50. Now, if you want to, that's fine. Maybe you have a multi-million-dollar operation. That's cool. Maybe you want to take your finances and your money from your lawn care business to go start creating assets that create passive income. So when you get older in your 30s and 40s and 50s, you can choose to go cut grass. You don't have to cut grass. And why do I say that? Because I get super passionate about the late game of people in lawn care. There's so many people that are in their 50s and 60s and 70s, and it's not a put down, but they will echo the same thing, that they weren't maybe as suave or prudent with their finances in their 20s and 30s and 40s. Right? Because their body was young, their body was healthy. They could go 18 hours a day. They could mow grass 12 hours a day. They could do the whole deal. But long term, your body is going to out you in our industry. So you have to realize that you probably have a 15, 20, 25 year window. And then your knees are going to give out. Your back is going to hurt. And you have to have systems in place to scale your business, get out of the actual, production of it. Either grow a large enough company where you're not the guy anymore, or you have a really good business model where you have 10, 15 people working for you, or you get out of the industry, you work in a different way. Maybe you're working as a sales rep or an account manager for some of the bigger companies. You get 60, 80, 100 grand a year. You're in a cush job and you banked a couple mil. Or you took your money from lawn care and you bought, 15 rental properties that are making $7,000 a month in passive income. And you can, work things in a different way or different capacity. You can run the business at your speed and your time, right? So I hope you guys really appreciate the candidness. So here's the deal. Here's the last thing I'll say is that let's look at debt as a scalpel. This is an analogy that really helped me, and this is the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with. And I really hope you guys enjoy this podcast. I really put a lot of time and thought into this. I actually have like 4 notes written down, but all this is kind of inspired right now, and I just get fired up. I don't get passionate about lawn care, guys. I'm not a lawn care owner. I get passionate about people, and I get passionate about you. Listen to this, and we're entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurs. Okay. Here's the deal. You got to look at debt like a scalpel. Well, a scalpel, a little blade thing. Pick them up at Tractor Supply. Pick them up at a medical supply company. Go to the hospital. Everybody's got scalpels. Debt is like a scalpel, okay? You don't make scalpels safe by dulling the blade. You make scalpels safe by putting them in the hands of a trained professional that knows what to do with that, right? Because a scalpel could kill you and a scalpel could save your life, okay? You don't make scalpels safe by dulling the blade. You put it in the hands of a professional, somebody who knows what to do with it, okay? What does that mean for us? For some of you that are analogy impaired, sometimes like I am, a scalpel is your debt. Debt isn't bad by itself. Okay, money itself isn't good or bad, right? Money isn't evil. Money is just an amplifier of whoever has it. Period. Case closed. Making money is not bad. There's a lot of spiritual folks. Making money is bad. The holier than thou syndrome. If you make 60 grand a year, that's okay. But if somebody makes 80, they're going to burn. Well, then the next guy's making 80, he goes, man, making 80 is good and that's Christian-like, but 120 grand, ooh, you're getting a little toasty. And it's just, again, all these wrong values, wrong beliefs, wrong teachings that are going into your brain that you've never pushed back on. You've never thought for yourself. Arguably, I know this was tough. I'm telling you guys, this is a tough road to hoe, man. I'm challenging you. I'm challenging your beliefs. I'm challenging your values. I'm challenging your spiritual walk. I'm not saying I have it all figured out, but I'm just telling you, I've been a truth seeker, dude, for 13 years because I've heard all of it. Because when you know none of it, everything sounds good. And I was digesting everything, but then I had to distill it. I had to discern it. I had to put it under a microscope. I had to make it personal. I had to make it personal for me. And that's why I have the belief system that I do. That's why I'm so bold and confident with how I believe. Again, my life right now took me 10 years to stop that spinning disc. But now my disc is starting to spin in the opposite direction of health, of wealth, of prosperity, of helping people, of being somebody that can be blessed to be a blessing, somebody that other folks can learn from and listen to. And again, it's not about me. I'm just saying we're being used, and things are starting to turn that corner, and that's where you're starting to see some of that outward success. But again, the outward success was a direct result of the 10 years of me working on myself inwardly. So again, just to wrap up with the thought that when you're talking about that scalpel analogy, you have to increase your financial IQ. You have to learn more about finances. You have to learn more about debt. If not, you're dangerous out there. You're just a guy running around, swinging your scalpel, and you don't know what's going to happen. And again, we can talk about, how you measure wealth in terms of, wealth is measured in time, not money. That's a whole nother story. So, creating passive income to me is super important. I don't have anything to, motivate you guys with beyond that. You got to figure out your vehicles and your business models that you want to do with that. But anyway, I know I said a lot of things here. I'm not here to make you mad or challenge you. Again, I hope we can still be friends after a podcast like this, but that's the point of the podcast. I wanted it to be unfiltered. This is stuff I really want to say and just communicate out of love and share with you guys. And if you like it, great. And if it challenges you a little bit and you get a little fired up, you know what, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. That's fine too. If it challenges you to go back into the word and be like, well, my pastor always said that money was evil, but I'm reading, this scripture and it says, no, it's not. In fact, the guy with, the 5 talents, he increased it to 10. That sounds good to me. The guy with 0 or 1, he buried it. What did God do? God took it away from him. God said, you wicked fool, or whatever. He goes, I'm going to go give yours to the other guy who increased it to 10. Why? Because that guy was prudent. The guy was responsible. The guy was he did a good job being obedient, right? And so God blessed him with more. And you're like, wait a minute. Like, I always heard that money is evil. And okay, well, it's not. Okay, maybe your parents have said stuff like that. My parents didn't tell me anything good to a degree. They taught me work ethic, but they didn't teach me about finances or wealth or anything like that. You're growing up with a single mom. She's working her guts out just to provide for 3 kids who, just full of testosterone, and they eat everything in sight. That's a hard road to hoe. So she's busy doing that. So she didn't tell me anything necessarily bad. She just didn't tell me anything good either. So I was a blank slate. And some of you guys, though, you have parents that you're like, your last name is Walker, and we're a Walker. Walkers are poor. Walkers are we're just humble, regular people. We're Johnsons, man. We're just normal people. Other people get rich. Other people succeed. Other people make it, but not us, son. So, just grab your shovel. Let's get back to digging holes in the ground. Like, man, flush that thought process. Flush that mess. There's so much more ahead of you. It's not even funny. Your last name is, Cyrus. I don't know, Billy Ray Cyrus. Your last name is Cyrus. Hey, Cyrus is, we don't go to college. Cyrus says we're blue collar, we're union, we're UAW, we're electricians. That's all we do. And I'm not putting that down. You guys know that. I'm just giving you some for instances. Maybe there's never been a Cyrus that has been to college. Maybe that's you. Maybe that's your first one. I'd also question why do you want to go to college? Another podcast for another time. But you guys know what I'm saying. You have these value systems, these belief systems, these, and you know what the biggest one is, and I'll leave you with this because I've wrapped up twice now, but here's the last one I'll leave you. You got this record player going on in your brain, and you know whose voice it is? It's yours. It's your voice that's usually causing the most damage. You know what I had to do? I had to shut me up. I had to stop that internal voice, that internal mechanism that just keeps reinforcing my own self-limiting beliefs, and I had to flood my brain with Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Jocko, and hundreds. And I mean, you look at YouTube and you type in motivation. I'm listening to CT Fletcher. I'm listening to every single you type in any of those people, you type in motivation with that person's name. I have listened to the top 100 podcasts or 100 YouTube videos on all of those people. What do you think is going on my phone all day? How do you think I run 200 gigs a month in data on my phone? Verizon hates me, by the way. I have an unlimited iPhone with a data plan with Verizon. I'm grandfathered in from like a decade ago, and they try to get me off it every single month. But what do you think I'm listening to all day? Yeah, I'm listening to some Pandora. I love listening to my music and rot my brain for 10 seconds, just like you guys do. But overwhelmingly, man, I'm listening to Gary Vee. I'm listening to Paul Jameson. I'm listening to the Lawn Care Business Success Julio. I'm listening to a lot of stuff that you guys put out. Why? Because I know my brain was. If you can't give yourself a leg up, to the next level. You have to have somebody else extend a hand to help you out. And if you think you're going to just, be the self-made thing, I get it. But the reality is I needed a Darren Hardy to give me a hand as he's already 2 notches up the ladder to turn around and say, come on, Brian, I got you. Come on, I got Grant Cardone. We're climbing this rope up the summit, and Grant Cardone turns around and he says, come on, Brian, here's my hand. I got you. I don't know Grant Cardone. I don't know Darren Hardy. I want to name my first kid Darren because how much Darren Hardy has impacted my life, because he's an incredible dude. My wife said no, but anyway, but I don't know these people, but I know them through their books. I know them through their audio programs. I know them through conferences. I know them through seminars. I know them through webcasts. I know them through, digital training programs. I buy a lot of these training courses. I am that guy. Well, 13 years later, my life is starting to prosper big time. And then other people, they're like, you know what? I'm going to take that money and go to Applebee's. I'm going to take that money and buy Yeezys. I'm going to laugh at people that invest in themselves. You know what? If you're listening to this, I don't think you're that guy. If you're listening to this, I think you're one of those guys that are on the train with me, trying to pull out of the station, and you're not running away from something, you're running to something, right? Whole nother podcast for a whole nother time, but don't just run away, run towards. And for me, I have crystal clear vision of where I'm trying to take my life. I have crystal clear vision for my 1 year, my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan. Liz and I want to have kids, want to have a family, want to start, build or buy a home. We have these vision boards. We have all this stuff. It's not hocus pocus. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you're listening to this, just know that I love you. Just know that I care about you. Just know that I get in your face because I want to challenge you. Because when's the last time somebody probably challenged you? When's the last time you let somebody get in your face? When's the last time somebody talked truth to you? The reality is that 99% of you guys listening, you don't have a father figure. The 99% of you guys, you don't have a pastor that you go talk to regularly. 99% of you guys, you don't have a brother or a dad or older brother or a male figure that's probably got in your face once in a while. You're 25, you're 30, 35 years old, you're coasting. You think you got it going on. You do. And I commend you, for real. Some of you guys you're crying listening to this because like I was crying earlier because you're like, man, nobody knows my story. I know your story. I know your story. I don't know every detail. I don't know every definition. I don't know every character, but I know that if you're on this journey with me, that you're on this train with me, that you're trying to be better. And that's what I just salute you guys for. If you listen to this, you're a winner. I love you guys. We'll see ya.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.